I'm Mia,
I'm Anouk.
I'm Benicio, hi.
and this is everyone. This is our group.
Hello. I'm Lena. I'm a junior at Grand Valley State University. I'm 21, and our political beliefs are all pretty much the same. We're much more towards the side of liberal.
I'm Noah. I'm 23. I graduated from Kalamazoo College with a degree in computer science last year. And yeah, Lena said our political beliefs, we kind of all really don't like Donald Trump.
I'm Emma. I'm 18. It's my first year at Grand Valley State University. And then our political beliefs, like they said, very progressive and liberal.
How are you living with the virus? Like, how do the measures affect your everyday life, and what are the consequences?
Yeah, a lot of us are basically just living in constant fear. Like it's bad here, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better either, which really sucks. And a lot of businesses and places, they want to reopen or are reopening, and there are more people going back to them, and they don't always follow the rules, like with masks and social distancing. And so it's hard right now to picture an outcome where everything turns out being okay, because right now it just looks like we're falling. Yeah. And it's really kind of incredible the lengths that some people in government and not in government will go to kind of deny that any of this is happening.
Right. Yeah. I think also, for me at least, because I'm not directly on a college campus, but I'm around a college campus, and the area where I am right now there is very conservative areas around. So there's a lot of supporters of Trump in the area here, and that's a big part of it, is that most Trump supporters don't really think that this virus exists, and so they don't wear their masks, they don't socially distance, because the president doesn't do that either. He doesn't advocate for mask wearing.
He freaking has it too.
He had it, and he's still, like, he had it a couple weeks ago, and now he's holding rallies again, because the videos that I saw from the rally yesterday, I have some people on my Snapchat who have posted videos of it, and there was just tons and tons of people, crowds of people, everyone's squished together, even if they are wearing a mask. The thing is that you can still get the virus if you're close to the person. There's so many people there. I did not see many people wearing masks at all. And then President Trump comes out, and he's having these rallies, and it was in his debate the other day, he was saying that he was not denying that he was holding these rallies, and people were trying to say, like, shouldn't you be doing more to protect the people? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, well, I can do what I want, basically. So he's having these rallies when he really shouldn't be, because all these people are gathering, and it just doesn't look like it's going to get any better if he's our president again. He's not going to put he's not going to put policies in place for it. It's just going to get worse. And around here on a college campus, a lot of people don't wear their masks either. I see parties all the time. I personally do not go to any of those because I'm worried about it, but I see so many people who do, and it's like, wow, I'm just like concerned for my own health and safety here all the time. So.
And I think Lena, I mean, she mentioned it without really saying it, but the virus here in the United States has become a political issue somehow. It's not an objective, wear your mask and don't die kind of thing. It's somehow you either choose to believe in it or choose not to believe in it, even though there's only, it's real.
There's one right
answer. That also just doesn't help with trying to fight it, is that there are people who just think it's their right to believe that it's not real.
Yeah, and I was going to say, a lot of Trump supporters are like very uneducated. They tend to be less educated than I'm just
It is.
like
it's true. It's true. Yeah.
proven, yeah.
targeting like very uneducated people, and so they are quick to believe the things he says about the virus. And all he says is, don't worry, we have a cure coming very soon, very soon. He says that like every week, and nothing has happened. Yeah. So yeah.
Right.
So actually, do you have different measures in different states?
It's a lot of the anti-COVID things, the anti-COVID measures are up to the states to decide what they want to do. When there's really no federal law or federal rule about masks, about social distancing. The federal government just tells the states, okay, you decide what you think is appropriate. Right. And that also doesn't help, because there are some states who are taking things very cautiously and doing taking very good measures to prevent COVID. And there are some states that don't really care, that are focused more on getting businesses reopened. Yeah, exactly. And despite of rising case numbers and things like that.
And of course, there's individual people too who like just choose not to listen to the state's regulations. And I mean, like, what can you really do if they're like carrying a mask on them and like just don't have it on correctly? Like, you can't really do anything about it. So
there's also been problems. I know here in Michigan we have a good governor. We have Gretchen Whitmer, and she's been really trying to do a lot for COVID. But I don't know if you guys have heard of this at all, but Trump is very against Gretchen Whitmer. She's she's like, he hates on her all the time. He makes nasty comments to her, and he kind of like makes fun of her for the precautions that she's taking for COVID. And it's like, is that really who we want as the leader of our country? Like, when someone is actually trying to protect like the people in the state, that he's just going to make fun of her for that? It's just really, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he was hating on her for for her, I don't know, the precautions that she was taking. She was just trying to keep her state safe, and he thought that was funny for some reason. And I don't know.
People were trying to abduct her.
Yeah. I don't know if that's something you guys heard of, but there was a plan to abduct our governor.
Yeah.
So by Trump supporters.
Do you have had a lockdown in the US, and how it affects you?
Yeah, we had one. Again, like I said earlier, there was no federal rule or anything, so it was up to every state to issue a lockdown or not. And we got one here in Michigan, pretty much right when the virus hit in March. And then it was initially for 3 weeks, and then at the end of those 3 weeks, it got extended another 3 weeks, and then another 3 weeks, and then it just kept going from March until, I want to say it was May or something, that it officially, the lockdown was officially lifted.
But not everything was open back up again.
Right, exactly. And so, I mean, a lot of that too, during the lockdown, it was basically up to you whether you wanted to follow it or not, because there wasn't really anyone who was enforcing it.
Right.
The governor said, okay, there's a lockdown, you can't leave your homes unless absolutely necessary. But at the same time, there was no one who was going to get you in trouble if you didn't leave, or if you left your home and it wasn't absolutely necessary.
And there's no realistic way to control that either.
Right, exactly. So it was, for me personally, I didn't leave my house unless I had to go to work or, buy food or things like that. So me and my friends in Kalamazoo, we all just stayed in our houses for months, it wasn't very fun. It sucked, but it was necessary. We needed that, because that slowed everything down, that slowed the spread of the virus down. So yeah, but like I said, there were a lot of people who just didn't care, who went about their lives like it was completely normal. And yeah, and now there isn't any official lockdown at the moment again, and I'm not sure if there will be another one, but
I know that we here, here at my university, we did have like what was it? It was like sort of a lockdown. It was like a stay home order. Yeah, stay in place order. We had that for a couple weeks, but there's no, like Noah said, there was no enforcement of it. My apartment complex that I'm living in here, they did like send out an email and say you're not allowed to have like more than a certain amount of people in your apartment at a time. But there was no one, like there was no enforcement of that. They would have no way of knowing unless you were too loud and like someone came and knocked on your door. But they weren't standing in front of the apartment doors saying, like, sending away people who weren't living there. They weren't locking the gates or anything. So they really didn't do very much about it. Like, I didn't feel it. And our university said too, they said like, oh, stay in place, but you still have to come to in-person classes and like this stuff. And I was like, well, that's basically what I was doing anyway. So it wasn't really any different.
Mm-hmm.
The first lockdown for me was pretty sad. Just like having to stay at home the whole time, and it was my senior year in high school, so I was missing out on a lot of stuff that I was excited for. So that really sucked. But like he was saying, it was very necessary, and I could see it
If you were
going,
actually following it,
Yeah.
like, then it was helpful. If you
Yeah.
weren't, then it wasn't. But there was no way to enforce that really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I hardly saw any of my friends
Right.
during that time, so it was generally a pretty like lonely time. But I'd say that it was worth it based off of like.
Well, I don't know if it is anymore.
Well, anymore, yeah. Now it's been like
At that point,
destroyed.
it felt like it was going to get better, and then
Mm-hmm.
everything came back again, and they opened the schools, and everyone went back to school, and it spread more, and then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned earlier that in your surroundings there are many Republicans or conservatives. So I assume they probably don't take the measures too seriously.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just assuming since you're more liberal, you probably take your own personal measures. So do you
Yes.
sometimes get like comments from other people who don't really believe in it for doing that?
I know that I've experienced some of that. A couple of weeks ago, I was invited by a friend to like go over to his place, and I asked how many people were going to be there, and he said about 15. And we were going to come with like maybe 4. I have 4 people living in my place, so we have a house of 4. So we were all going to go over there. But I said, we're not comfortable with that. There's too many people. We don't want to get in trouble, first of all, but also we don't want to get the virus. And he kind of made some like, I don't know, snarky comments to me. He kind of like didn't really talk to me after that. And he was a little annoyed that like we didn't go over there. But I was like, we're just trying to be safe. That was one of the only sort of things I've experienced. I know that the people that I have as my friends, who I surround myself with, are people who have very similar views to me. So I don't have any problems really. And those are the only people that I see at the moment. I only see like my close friends, and those people are very much, they have the same views as me. So I don't get too many comments from people just because I don't see too many people to get comments from. But I don't know about you guys.
I mean, personally, I haven't really experienced anything like that, but I know for a fact that it happens all the time. There are people who get pushed around, sometimes to the point of, someone will punch another person for wearing a mask. It can get that bad. It's never happened to me. Thankfully, it's never happened to anyone I know, but it happens. And there are a lot of people out there who will, talk bad at you for wearing a mask or for taking precautions against, getting the virus. So it exists. It happens all the time.
Yeah, for me too. Nobody has ever said anything to me, because my friends and I, like my sister's friends, we all kind of just
Gesundheit.
stay in our own group. And I know that there are, because there's a big university, there's U of M, University of Michigan, right in Ann Arbor, and I'm living at home, so I know that there's like a lot of students there who are like still having parties and stuff. And one of my friends is a student at the university, and she's told me things about like just people making comments about them wearing masks at parties, and it's like, oh, why are you wearing your mask? Like, you're killing the mood of the party. And it's like just trying to not get the virus. But
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for participating.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. Dankeschön. Sorry, we should.
Vielen Dank.
Yes.
Vielen Dank. Bye.